Are you ready for some killer spoilers? Let's talk about Scream 6. All right, let's talk about Scream 6. Let's talk about spoilers. Now, if you haven't seen my spoiler-free review, I would check it out. But if you don't already know, I love Scream 6. I thought it was really well done. I really liked the change in setting. I liked the changes to the formula, and I really loved how it tied in with some of the previous films. So I think it was a really great overall entry in the franchise. You should definitely check it out. It's already in theaters on March 10th, 2023, so you should see it if you haven't. Now, if you've already seen it and you just want to know what happens in the film or want to know more about the story, this is a spoiler review. There will be spoilers. I'm just going to go right in and talk about the story. So if you don't want to know what happens, turn it off now. Go watch the spoiler-free review. But this is a spoiler review, so there will be spoilers, and they're going to come quickly. So in Scream 6, you have the 4 survivors of Woodsboro. They are now in New York. You got Tara, Chad, and Mindy all in college in New York. And then you have Sam, who is also in New York now. She came out to help protect her sister and kind of stay close to her. But that is causing some tension. But you know what? I think Tara's a little happy that Sam is there when the murders start happening. So the Scream murders start back up. I really loved the opening kill scene, the scene with Laura, played by Samara Weaving. I thought this was a really nice update to the franchise, like an update to the way that the films always start. They always start with a phone call. They always start with an unsuspecting victim, but usually that person's at home. Now here, Laura is at a bar waiting for her date, and her date calls and says he's lost, gets her to come outside, gets her to go down an alley, and that's where the kill happens. I thought that was an interesting way to change up the formula, kind of modernize it, make it slightly different, and make it feel more of like a big city type environment. Now, I originally thought, okay, they're going to really change that because you figure out who this killer is early on. The killer takes off his mask. You see who he is. He goes back home. He, is elated because he did this kill. And then he gets a call. And he gets a call from his roommate, Greg. These two were going to use the kills. They were going to kill Tara and Sam to, I guess, finish the movie, finish Richie's original movie, Richie, the killer from Scream 5, or one of the killers from Scream 5. They were going to use these kills. Their plan was to eventually get close to Tara and Sam and kill them to finish the movie. But when Jason, who is the person that killed Laura, gets back to his apartment, he gets a call from his roommate, Greg, who is doing the Scream voice, starts to like make him feel uncomfortable, and he's like, what's going on? He's looking around for the killer, or for his roommate who is pretending to be the killer, and eventually he is led to the refrigerator. When he opens it up, there's his roommate cut up in the refrigerator, and that's when Jason's killed. So you find out that these are the first kill from a Ghostface killer was not actually the true murderer in this film. The Jason and Greg both get killed. Now, what you also find out is that at this killing and then in future subsequent killings, a mask with DNA from a previous killer was left. So at this first killing, there was Richie's mask, and in each subsequent murder, there is a mask from a previous Ghostface killer through the past massacres. And this is a really interesting touch, and it's a nice way to draw connections to the old movies and keep those fresh. But then you start wondering, like where are these masks coming from? How are they getting the DNA from these killers? And also, how far is this going to go? Well, the police get involved because there's murders, and the detective on the case, Detective Bailey, he is actually the father of Tara and Sam's roommate, Quinn. So pretty safe person to have on the case, pretty good person to have watching out for you. He is investigating the Ghostface murders, and also, because his daughter lives with the kind of potential suspects and or potential targets of the new Ghostface killer, he is heavily involved. Now, he's not the only police presence involved, because we have a blast from the past. We have Kirby, played by Hayden Panettiere. I think that's how her name is pronounced, from Scream 4. She is here as well. She is now an FBI agent, and she gets called up because the FBI was investigating Jason and Greg from their time in Atlanta, And because they were like involved in that, she flies up to New York when they're dead to help with the case, to help with some of the information that the FBI gathered about their Ghostface killer obsession. But Kirby's not the only blast from the past. Gale Weathers is back in this film. She comes early on to interview both Tara and Sam. You find out that they don't have the best relationship with Gale. Gale wrote a book about the last Woodsboro massacre that Tara and Sam didn't love as much. So they get upset with her initially, but eventually they all make up. You don't have Sidney Prescott, aka Nev Campbell, in this film. So the only past characters you have are Kirby and Gale. So eventually the four friends and their roommates kind of lock themselves in their apartment. They're gonna wait it out. They don't know what's gonna happen. But somehow Ghostface gets into their apartment and ends up killing their roommate Quinn, and then also killing Mindy's love interest Anika. So Sam, Mindy, Chad, and Tara are all able to escape, but Quinn and Anika are now dead. And as you remember, Quinn was Detective Bailey's daughter, and so he is really broken about the case. He gets taken off the case because of this, but he still decides to help out. He's still going to try to solve the case because now he's very angry. So eventually Gale also gets attacked. And in this scene, I really liked it because they had some nice touches, some nice like callbacks to the franchise, where like when Ghostface is talking to Gale, he says like, this is the first time we've talked on the phone. It seems long overdue, which I thought that was a fun touch because Gale has been such a stalwart in the series, and it's a nice like recognition that they never actually called her on the phone. So I thought that was a fun little touch. And I liked how Gale was like, Gale fought back. Like Gale, like in the first film or in Scream 5, Gale and Sidney were like the like old hats at this. They were experienced. They didn't love it, but you know what, they were used to it. And in this scene, even though the killer is in her house and like taunting her, she still stays as calm as she can, fights back. She doesn't win. She gets stabbed, but she has a weak pulse. It seems like she will pull through. Now, after Gale's attacked, after Quinn died, after all these people around Sam and Tara are murdered, or at least attacked and hurt, they decide that they're going to set a trap for the killer. They want to lure the killer into a place where they can now turn the tables and corner the killer. They use this warehouse that the two first killers, Jason and Greg, had rented and set up like this shrine to the Ghostface killers and the Woodsboro massacres, and to some extent the stab movies. It was this old movie theater that had been abandoned, but now just contained all this paraphernalia from the actual crimes, like actual evidence from the crimes. It had the masks from each of the crimes, and that's how these DNA masks were left at the previous killings. It had weapons from the crimes. It had artifacts and things like that. It was essentially a museum for the Woodsboro killings, for the Ghostface killers. And so the remaining friends decide, you know what, we are going to turn this on their head. We're going to lure the killer into here, and then we'll have them. We will then, either unmask them or potentially just kill them. So it seems to be going okay, except on their way to the warehouse, when they are going to kind of like lure the killer in, they get separated. Sam, Tara, and Chad all get on one subway, but apparently they didn't want to take an Uber because they're taking the subway. It's crowded, and Mindy and Ethan, who is Chad's roommate, they get on a separate train. Now, while Mindy and Ethan are on this train, it's a really great scene. It's very unsettling because it's Halloween. People are all in like masks and things like that, and there are a lot of Ghostface masks on this train, and so you're always like wondering like what's going to happen. And on Mindy's train specifically, there appear to be all these electrical issues that cause the lights to like flicker off and on, and eventually she notices one of the Ghostface masks is looking at her a lot. And then as the lights like turn off and turn on, that Ghostface mask like continues to approach her, like in a standard horror movie where the lights are off and they turn on, the person's closer. They do that except in like a not supernatural way. So eventually the lights turn off and the lights turn on, and that Ghostface is gone. Except he's not. Bam, Mindy is stabbed in a train, which felt a little crazy because you'd think someone would notice it, but you know what? I guess a lot of crazy stuff happens on New York subways, and so maybe it's just normal to have people get stabbed. But Mindy gets stabbed, that Ghostface gets away, and Ethan, who is still on the train, notices this finally, takes her off, calls the ambulance. Mindy seems like she'll survive too, but now she's also stabbed. But that leaves only Sam, Tara, and Chad at the warehouse, as well as the FBI detective character from the previous film, Kirby. They all get into the warehouse, and while they're there, Sam gets a call from Detective Bailey, and he says, I did some checking into Kirby. She was let go from the Atlanta Police Department. Whatever she's like, you gotta get out of there. She's the killer. They're like, oh man, that's not good, because now they're all in this warehouse. And apparently when they got in the warehouse, they decided to all split up because Sam is there by herself. Chad and Tara are over somewhere else talking. But when Sam gets this message, she like turns around, tries to leave, and wouldn't you know it, after Sam gets this news, the Ghostface killers appear and they attack Chad. Chad is stabbed a lot. He does not appear to be in good shape. But Chad was with Tara. Tara runs out. She runs back to Sam, and when she does that, you see Kirby coming out, and she looks dazed. She's got like some wound to her head, and she's got her gun. And Sam's like, "No, get back! Like, get back! Like, I know what's going on with you." She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, I was knocked out. Like, are you okay?" And that's when Detective Bailey comes in and is like, "Stop, Kirby! I know you're the killer." And she's like, "What?" And then Detective Bailey shoots Kirby a few times. And you're like, okay, that was kind of weird. And then you find out who the actual killers in this film are. Now, the two ghost faces appear at this point, and they unmask, and you've got Ethan, who is Chad's roommate, and Quinn, who is Sam and Tara's roommate. Quinn, who was supposed to be dead, they are the Ghostface killers. But you have a third entity in this one. You've got Detective Bailey also involved. And like, what? Like, why are they like? This is weird. Why are they all involved? Well, it turns out that Quinn and Ethan are brother and sister, and Detective Bailey is their father. So Detective Bailey is a father. His daughter Quinn, his son Ethan. But there's another son, there's another child involved in this whole family, and that is Richie, the killer from Scream 5, one of the killers from Scream 5. So their big plan was, they know that Sam killed Richie, and they want to punish her for killing Richie. Even though Richie was a serial killer, even though Richie killed many people, they want to punish Sam for ultimately killing him. So their plan was to punish Sam and anyone else that was involved in those Woodsboro massacres and stopping Richie. They were going to enact their revenge on them, which I thought was actually kind of a clever twist. So I thought that that was like an interesting way to tie it in with the previous movie and give them a decent motivation. It's much better motivation than the Scream 5 motivation, which was something like, the stab movies are bad. We want to make a better movie, so we're going to make a massacre to then make the stab movies better. That was a bad justification. This one I liked. I thought it was decent. So, and it turns out Quinn didn't actually die. That was all kind of a ruse, and the detective like switched out the body, made it so that it looked legitimate enough that no one questioned him, which was a little bit weird, but you know what? It makes for an interesting twist. And also, the detective is the one who like built up this shrine. They said that it was the shrine that Jason and Greg built up to the Ghostface killers, but it is actually Richie's shrine. It was Richie's like collection of Ghostface memorabilia. He was obsessed with these movies. He was obsessed with these killings, and the Detective Bailey helped his son to build his collection by getting some of the evidence out. Now, it's weird to think that Detective Bailey could like pull evidence from the Woodsboro police department and give it to his son. But you know what? Whatever. It makes for an interesting plot twist. It makes for kind of an interesting justification for how these masks are there. So that is kind of the overall story of who the killers were. Now, what happens to them? Well, unfortunately for our friends Sam and Tara, they are now locked in a theater with three killers. They are essentially back to back at this point, with Ethan on one side, Quinn on the other, and Sam and Tara essentially have bricks to defend themselves. So eventually, Sam and Tara fight back. They're able to fight off the killers and climb up into like the second level of the balcony. Now, unfortunately, while they're climbing up, Tara gets shot by Detective Bailey, so she doesn't make it up to the second level. Sam is holding her, and Tara's like hanging on for dear life. And while this is happening, Ethan, who was, I think, stabbed during the altercation, gets up and like tries to slash at Tara's legs while she's there. And Quinn gets up to the second level and is like approaching Sam, who's holding on to Tara, like getting ready. So now essentially So now they are still kind of cornered, but they're in a little bit better of a position. Now, Tara tells Sam to let her go, to like essentially trust her because she's holding her up to defend, to like keep her from going down to Ethan. Sam kind of understands what's happening. She takes a knife that she had, gives it to Tara, and drops Tara down to Ethan. Tara falls on Ethan. Ethan stabs her. Not good for Tara. But Tara is essentially in a perfect position to then take the knife that she has and stab Ethan in the mouth. So Tara twists the knife, gets rid of Ethan. One Ghostface killer is gone. Quinn, at this point, is up on the second level, sees her brother die, not very happy with this, and Sam just is all out of F's to give, and she has a gun, it's trained on Quinn, and she just, boom, caps Quinn in the face. Quinn is now gone. Detective Bailey's up there now. He was coming up there to help Quinn and to help stop Sam. Sam aims the gun at Detective Bailey, pulls the trigger, it's out of bullets. But Detective Bailey has a gun. That not a good sign. Sam runs. They start fighting, and they both go over the ledge of this like second level of the theater, fall on the ground, and both pass out. Now, Detective Bailey wakes up later. He seems to have passed out longer. This is when they turn the tables on the killer. Detective Bailey gets a call, and it is the Ghostface killer voice, except it's clearly Sam who's doing it. Now, Sam talks to him, taunts him, eventually is like in the full Ghostface getup. Her father's Ghostface getup. She's in the Billy Loomis like Ghostface robes and mask. She taunts the detective, gets up behind him, and then when he turns around, she just goes to town, kind of like what she did to Richie. She just stabs. Really, really hurts him. He's on the ground, like bleeding out, and she's getting ready to like do the last blow. And then she stops and she says, "My father's a murderer, but I'm better than that." And then she kind of looks at Tara and then looks down and says, "But you did mess with my family." And then she just takes out Detective Bailey. So all the killers are taken care of, except while Tara and Sam are walking out of the theater, Ethan comes running up. Apparently he survived getting stabbed in the mouth. He's getting ready to take his revenge, but boom, boom, boom. Kirby shoots Ethan while he's running at them. Kirby survived. Kirby's fine. Now that all the killers are taken care of, they go outside. The police are already there. And we find out that both Mindy survived. She's actually running down there, so she survived okay. And Chad somehow survived. He got stabbed many, many times. He has probably been stabbed the most out of all the Scream characters, and he's still around. So Mindy and Chad survived. Essentially all the original players survived. Tara, Sam, Mindy, Chad, and then the legacy characters, Kirby and Gale, they all seem to survive. So this is an interesting film because they talk about how like now it's a film franchise. There's all these rules that get changed up. Like none of the characters are safe, but it seems like all the characters were safe. They all survived. They all kind of even survived with some scars, but they all survived. So that is Scream 6. There is also a stinger. It is a funny stinger. It's kind of perfect for this franchise. It is at the very end. You have Mindy, who is known as like a horror film buff, a horror film person. It's just her at the end saying, "Not every movie needs a stinger." Boom. So the film that bucks the trends has a stinger saying you don't need a stinger. But that is Scream 6. It's in theaters on March 10th, 2023. I liked it a lot, and I definitely think you should check it out. So thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.